All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We're having some people join us. So, hello, thank you everybody for joining us, and welcome to Passage's Community Dialogues panel about empowering our youth. This Community Dialogues panel is linked to our upcoming production of Clean Slate, written by David Lee White and Kate Brennan. It's a co-production between Passage Theater and Rider University, and it's going to take place at the Mill Hill Playhouse from March 10th through 12th. So we hope you'll all join us for that. My name is Ryan Dominguez. I'm the artistic director of Passage, and we are absolutely thrilled to have everybody on this panel tonight who take active roles in empowering the youth in our community. So thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today. The panel is going to be hosted by none other than Cherry Oakley. I'm just going to read a little bit about Cherry, and then I'll pass the mic off to her. Besides being a passionate woman of social justice for the past 3 decades, Cherry has focused on meaningful ways to help people embrace diversity and become part of welcoming and inclusive communities. As the current executive director of Support Coordination at Neighbors Incorporated, Cherry leads a team of statewide facilitators that helps New Jerseyans with disabilities vision for their lives, connect to resources, live a life that is self-determined and self-directed. She's been a founding board member of several nonprofits that focus on the health, healing, and wellness of those marginalized by society or living in urban communities. She holds a master's degree from Rider University and a BA from Drew University, and she, along with her 2 daughters, Nora and Nyla, live as active members of the Trenton community. So thank you, Cherry, for joining us and leading us in conversation today. I am going to hop off and let you take over. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome everyone to this community conversation about empowering youth. Youth is the subject of the upcoming play that will be featured at Passage Theater on March 10th through 12th. So I hope everybody's gotten their tickets. If you haven't, definitely make sure we'll do that, and we'll share some information at the end of this conversation to make sure that we're all doing that. But I want to welcome our panelists today. I'm going to say a little bit about their formal bios, and then we'll jump into the conversation and hear what it is that they have to share. And we hope this is going to be a dialogue. I'll make sure at the end of our conversation that there'll be an opportunity for those of you that are joining us and hearing all that the panelists have available to share, if you have got any questions that are burning in your mind from what it is that you hear, that you'll have a chance to be able to share that as well. So I'd like to start with introducing Sherry Syphax. She's an author and Trenton community member who identifies herself as an agent for change. She's got a passion to showcase the magic and beauty of Black love for Black women everywhere. Love strategist and relationship expert, Sherry Syphax seeks to demystify the stereotype that Black women cannot have it all, especially regarding relationships, and do it with style and class and grace. She comes with 10 years of experience working with hundreds of women across the United States in the areas of coaching and mentorship. Mrs. Syphax has mastered the art of counseling women to achieve success at finding love later in their lives. And through her platform, Dating Facts, PHAX, Mrs. Syphax and her husband, Tracy, help women create winning online dating profiles that help them stand out in the crowd. She has been featured in national media, including the New York Times, ABC News, Forbes, Essence, the Oprah magazine, just to name a few. She's also delivered her empowering relationship and love message across the United States, and has served as a featured speaker for organizations at the New York Urban League, Changing the Cycle in Trenton, New Jersey, and 100 Black Women of the Oakland Bay Area chapter. And she's got a book called The Second Act, Living Boldly and Abundantly at Every Age. So we want to welcome Sherry. Kenya Bullock, as the founder and executive director of The Block Trenton, This THA. Kenya, Kenny B. Bullock, is an interdisciplinary artist and community advocate from Trenton. Since 2018, she's dedicated her studies and time to learning more about what it means to advocate for equity in her community and communities alike. Through this mission, Kenya has been able to work with companies such as Ping Chong and Company, Artworks Trenton, Passage Theater, and the Black Star Film Festival. Her love for theater and learning about the African diaspora has led to her work with artists such as Charlotte Braithwaite, Abigail DeVille, Sanford Biggers, and much more. In March of 2020, Kenya launched her own company called the Community Theater, The Block Theater Company, LLC. The Block Theater Company, LLC, later became The Block Trenton, Inc., a nonprofit committed to providing free and equitable arts education and healing programming to community members of Trenton. Kenya's goal as an artist and community advocate is to redistribute resources while also providing a space of artistic exploration and healing for Trentonians. She received a theater design degree, from Dickinson College, and Kenya's studies focused on how different art forms are the language that connects the African diaspora and how that understanding can be used to heal the communities of Black and Brown people. So welcome, Kenya Bullock. Stacy Heading, Director of Community Engagement at Isles, Inc. Stacy Heading was born in Trenton and attended Trenton Public Schools. Stacy graduated from Trenton High in June of 1988, attended DeVry University, and is a graduate of the Dale Carnegie Training Program, where he received various awards. Stacy is very proud to be copying his certification from Maxwell Leadership Training in 2016. He's also the program director of Servants Endeavoring to Empower and Develop, that's SEED, a male mentoring program. It's been featured in Trenton Times and Trentonian for all of its community efforts, does college tours, has scholarship funds, hosts a powerful MLK breakfast, and the SEED program has a 95% success rate with the young men going to college or into the military. Stacy is all about community change and is the founder of Heal the City, whose focus is on building positive community efforts. Stacy also recently started the IYI, Isles Youth Institute, Increase the Peace campaign that's featured on Channel 6 Action News. And this program is designed to decrease the crime in our city through youth effective programs. Stacy also serves as a deacon at True Love Center and is happily married to Lori Heading for 20 plus years with 3 lovely adult children, Dante, Diamond, Sierra, and a grandson, 7, Elijah, who gives him very much joy. So welcome, Stacy. Also with us is Anthony Richards. Anthony Richards is the after-school program manager at Isles Youth Institute. Anthony Richards was previously worked as the evening resource coordinator for Isles Youth Institute, and he has a BS in physical education with a concentration in sports administration from Morgan State University. And on his off hours, Anthony spends quality time with his family, enjoys making music, and stays active in sports. So welcome, Anthony.
Thank you.
We also have Lynn Azarski, Executive Director of Kids Bridge Youth Center. Founder and Executive Director of Kids Bridge Youth Center, an immersive small group discussion learning lab for youth and teachers each year, Lynn has spent the last 20 years creating programs and interactive experiences for more than 35,000 children, dealing with bullying prevention, empathy, empowerment, respect, and anti-bias. Her book, The Empathy Advantage, Coaching Children to be Kind, Respectful, and Successful, was published by Rowman and Littlefield in 2020 and is now available in paperback. A genuine change agent, Lynn implemented evidence-based curriculum and evaluation that resulted in significant attitude improvements in empathy, stereotype awareness, empowerment, and moral reasoning. This unique center currently features facilitator-led social emotional programs for youth pre-K to 8th grade. So welcome, Lynn. We also have with us Ben Thornton. Ben is the director of outreach of Anchor House, Inc. Benjamin J. Thornton II is the Director of Outreach Services and Housing Initiatives at Anchor House, Inc., whose mission is to provide a safe haven where abused, runaway, homeless, and at-risk youth and their families are empowered to succeed and thrive. Beginning his work in direct care more than 25 years ago, Ben has managed a range of programs serving at-risk youth. In 2019, Ben served as the community partner in residence for the PACE Center at Princeton University. And Ben is a product of Trenton and believes that service is our best way to create a better world. In addition to his work with Anchor House, he is a former lieutenant and a firefighter at East Windsor Volunteer Fire Company No. 2, co-owner of Thornton Consulting LLC, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and Willingboro Dix McGuire Air Force Base alumni chapter. And we also have with us Shantia Hobson. And I just need a second. I'm going to pull up her. And Shantia is the interim director of ISLES Youth Institute, where she oversees educational programs, job development, and the admission process, along with a number of other duties. Her main focus is to ensure everything runs smoothly and efficiently throughout the day while students receive the best learning experience possible. Previously, Shantia worked at New Jersey Training School for Boys, the Juvenile Correctional Facility in Monroe, New Jersey, and she has a BA in Criminal Justice with a minor in Public Administration from Kean University. In her free time, Shantia loves spending time with her friends and her family. Welcome, Shantia. So, all of you are incredibly impressive, doing amazing things out there empowering youth. Which the work that Passage is doing with this show that's running about a week has inspired this community conversation about empowering youth. So my question to you is, I've read through all of your bios and shared all of your street cred for what brings you to the table in doing this work. I am curious. If you would introduce yourself and what you would like for us to know about you that's not on your official resume or curricula vitae, and answer the question, what is the thing that excites you, that is calling you to this work of empowering youth? And if we could go in alphabetical order by last name, that might help us. So Lynn, I think you're up.
I was ready because with my last name starting with A, I was always, called on first in the classroom. So I'm prepared. So what you may not know is that I was born in Trenton and went to Hedgepath Williams. So a lot of fond memories. And what I love the most about what I do in youth education is helping Trenton students because I was born and raised here. What I love most about the work Kidsbridge does is prevention, that we are changing children's lives. We do anti-bias. We've been doing anti-bias for 18 years. And people used to say, oh, that's nice. But now more people get it. So this is really important to do this kind of work, leaning heavily into mindfulness because of COVID. And of course, bullying prevention and cyberbullying, that these threats and challenges to kids are really 24/7 and we need to do a better job. Very important that we do assessment and evaluation to know that we're moving the needle and doing a good job. So what I love most is really the epiphanies that kids have from our programs, kids saying such things as, I didn't realize I was a bully, and then behaviors that would be different from that point on. Helping kids who are targets realize they don't have to take it and can execute different strategies. And I think ultimately that kids can make a difference. They could tell a parent, they could tell a teacher, it's not snitching, there are safety issues. So what I love most about the work that we do is that we are changing kids' lives, and then helping a family or a teacher or a school administrator to take heed of warning signs that children are issuing and to take action. So that, I'm very lucky. We get to help kids. We do a lot of Mercer County, but what I love best is helping kids in Trenton.
Thank you. Anthony. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Kenny Bullock.
I was about to say, we going my first name or last?
I had to mix it up. There you go. Okay. So Kenny.
Lynn, I appreciate the Trenton because you know you're not from Trenton unless you say Trenton.
There you go. I'm authentic.
Yes, we know it. But yes, hi, I am Kenny B. I go by Kenny B. Something that folks wouldn't know about me by looking at me or reading my bio is that I'm the last of 15 children, and I enjoy being the youngest of that many. um, uh, Ultimately, the thing that excites me really is being a guiding hand to the continuous cycle of giving back, right? Someone gave back so that I could be who I am. And it's only right that I help be a guiding hand to that cycle, that continuous cycle. And so no one's going to come here and save us. We got to pick our boots up, right, and save ourselves. And so I love being a mentor in that cycle.
All right. I'm just going to start calling you guys because this is all jumping around on my thing. So, Anthony.
Hey,
I've been
Okay.
dying from you. Yes.
how's everybody doing? Like you said, I'm the after school. Well, what I do here at Owls is after school manager as well as the resource coordinator here for after school, which is pretty much a program that is designed to keep kids from obtaining new charges. All my kids are pretty much come from Family Court, Mercer County, in which I get a referral from the court, and then I connect with the parent and the youth. And pretty much the program is designed to provide transportation every night for them, provide meals for them, provide life skills, as well as we do a lot of community service. Like Stacy said, and you mentioned earlier, the Increase the Peace campaign, we were working on that, in which we did like about 4 or 5 different murals around the city. So just, just really much pushing peace, positivity, and just trying to get them to do different activities outside of what they normally do. So that's what we do here at Owls Youth Institute as far as on the after school program. That's what I do. But for me, really what excites me about working with the youth is pretty much one, well, being from here, being born in Trenton, raised in Trenton, and then being able to have the opportunity to move to Mount Holly when I was a little right before high school, and just being able to become diverse in that aspect. I feel like for our kids, diversity is big. Exposing them to things that they're not used to seeing, things that they're not used to talking about, places that they're not used to going. And it's big because my cousin Tracy Syfax was just Sharice Syfax's husband. He has a book called From the Block to the Boardroom, which is what I love that concept, because it's like you have to be able to switch it up. You can't, a lot of our kids are just used to what they know every day outside in the street and talking to their peers. But it's like, we're trying to get you ready for corporate world, for, business world, for different things, where it's like you can't go in there talking the same way you talk, with your friends. Like, you got to know how to switch it up. You got to be able to take it from the block and go to the boardroom. And it's okay to do that. They have to know it's okay to be diverse in that fashion. They got to know it's okay to keep your head up and make eye contact and speak and express yourself and let people know how you really feel. So these are the things that drive me to work with the kids. And I'm a big kid myself. I look young, but I'm 38, which is probably still young to some of y'all. But, to the kids, I'm an old head now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I'm still at that age where I'm not too old, I'm not too young, so I can still connect with them, and I can still connect to the ones older than me, and bridge that gap. So that's what I feel like I'm here for, and I have a passion just working with the kids, and that's what I do. That's what we do. Peace.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Ben. You're muted.
And there we go. I'm Ben Thornton. I'm the Director of Housing Initiatives and Outreach Services for Anchor House. And something about me that you might not know from the bio. So I have 3 children, and my youngest is a senior in high school. So I'm about to be an empty nester. And what is my why? What gets me excited about the work that I do? Anchor House is a youth serving agency that's dealing with probably the most vulnerable youth in the most vulnerable situations. So everything that's good about empowering youth for the young people that I work with is vital. It's a matter of survival and the crises that they are experiencing. And I love to be a person that can change the course of that for them. I'm from the Each One Teach One generation. I see my old head Stacy here. We grew up in North 25. I mean, that's what we were about back then, bringing people through to realize their own dreams. And along the way, for me, I always wanted to be one of those people. My first profession was engineering and science. So I am blessed to be able to do that for young people. I've been at Anchor House for 26 plus years and watching young people learn and grow and thrive in a situation where without an intervention, it may have just gone, some of the ways that we've seen it. Is a blessing for me. I've met grandkids of some of my youth. I've seen them get married and have families and graduate college and get PhD degrees. So that's been a blessing for me, and that's my why. That's what gets me up every morning.
Thank you. Shantia.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Shantia, and I'm the interim director at Owls Youth Institute. So what we do there, we help students age 16 through 24 receive a high school GED diploma, as well as get them ready for job development, as well as another component with construction. So kind of piggybacking off of what my colleague Anthony already mentioned. So what we do, we work with these youth here to help them see different. The youth, their minds are very impressionable. And a lot of our students came to us from either being expelled from traditional school or either incarceration reasons. And a lot of them don't see that they have second chances. So we're here to give them second, third chances for them to understand that there's better things in life. There's other ways in life. And there's people here that actually care about you and that want to help you. So I love seeing the youth succeed. Every time that they pass a test, we're shouting and screaming in the building for joy for them. And things like that. It's just small things with the youth that you do for them that they're like, wow, this person really cares about me. And they want to see me do good in life. We take them on field trips to try to help them be diverse in different areas and different aspects of life. So I grew up in the inner city, but I moved out to the suburbs, and I seen a disparity in how Black and brown students were treated compared to Caucasian students. And I think that's what zoned me into dealing with urban youth. I feel like it wasn't fair. The students wasn't treated the same. Their education wasn't the same. And I just wanted to bring that all together for the urban youth so that they understand that people do care about them and we do want to see them succeed in life.
Thank you so much, Shantia. All right, Cherie Syphax.
So good evening, everyone. What you might not know about me is, well, I'm from Oakland originally. I am married to a Trentonian, so I am probably the only non-Trentonian on the call, maybe. But what I love about what I do is I get to work on the other side, working with parents, mothers specifically. Before I came to Trenton, I was working with women, coaching them on their own level of worthiness, their own happiness, their own joy. Because we are the mothers of these children, we have to have skills, nonviolent communication, empathy, compassion. But that all starts with the seed of loving yourself and a joy in centering within yourself. So I am always joyful when women make progress in that space because they can be better mothers, they can be better wives, they can be better friends, and they can engage in the community in a more healthy way. And if they're engaging in the community in a more healthy way, that helps the community all the way around. So that's what gets me excited, because there is so many systemic issues within our urban communities that impact us and definitely impact women. And we tend to bear a brunt of the responsibility. And as such, we just have to make sure that we have the tools and the skills, not only to value ourselves, but to make sure that we're mentally, emotionally, physically healthy, so that we can again engage with our children, our partners, our community in a healthy way that makes progress, safe, healthy progress, so that we can continue to build our communities in a more healthy way. So some of the things that I have done is retreats and things that really help us reflect and center on our greatness. Another thing that I didn't share, well, that you don't know about me, but I've been to 6 of the 7 wonders of the world. And the number one to me is the pyramids, and just reminding us of our history, our cultural history, our ancestry, how amazing we are. And so that they also communicate and mirror that to their children. So while I'm on the opposite side of it, it's still the work that I do is very impactful to families. And that makes me excited, and exciting that my husband and I are able to be examples in the community of what can be. We're right across the street from one of the schools. And I remember when the kids were walking on our grass, and of course, Tracy was like, "Get off our grass." And they were like, "You own this?" And they were like, "Yes." And they're like, "Black people own this." I mean, that makes me happy. I mean, so it's the small things, but it's inspiration. And if they can see it, they can achieve it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Stacy, heading.
Yeah. We still in alphabetical order?
No,
I'm just playing.
yeah. We
No.
did that letters ago. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? So, my name's Stacy Heading. I'm thinking, I don't know as far as what's not on the bio. But listen, what I will say is this. Just listening to my colleagues, Shantia and Anthony talk, like I'm just reminded of how much we're so much alike. And I think we've been working together really for about at least 6 or 7 years together. I've been at ISLES for 14 years, and it's very different when you hear them talk and when you hear us talk. We're talking about working with young adults. So we're talking about kids that's from like 16 to possibly like 24 years old, who did not make it in the traditional school, who have all of these barriers and all of these baggage, but we approach them with love. We are very creative. We think about things that can allow them to be successful in whatever situation that they are now. So, we know we offer them a high school diploma, and we also offer them a construction trade. But in that, we try to teach them how to take those things and marry it together so they can be successful in life. A lot of times you ask young people, how many of y'all just want to have a job and just get your high school diploma and just live your life and just a very simple life? And a lot of them will raise their hand. They just want the basics, and then we try to offer them that. And how do we do it? Like when you think of Anthony and myself, we run a whole after school program. And so we get young people to stay after school. And when they stay after school, we put together life skills, and we put together these, put them in these situations and learning, to give them these learning abilities that they can just kind of do some things that they normally don't get a chance to do at home. They didn't get a chance to do with their fathers or, their mothers or their grandfathers or anyone who they looked up to, but they look at us as father figures or as big brothers. And what we do is we put together like dope trips. We take them out of town all the time, to New York, to Broadway plays, to Philadelphia, to plays, out to dinner. But before we do that, we also give them coaching, and we do workshops with them, because what happens with young people is they When they don't understand what's going on, although you're trying to do something nice, you can put them in a situation where they're not used to things, and then they may act out. And you're like, I can't believe I'm doing all this for you, and you're acting a fool. Well, a lot of it, they just don't know. And you know what I'm saying? So our job is to, and I tell the staff all the time, let's make sure we have some workshops. Let's make sure we put them in some of these situations and they can see, and they just enjoy these activities all the more. 2 weeks ago, we just went to see Drumline the musical. And so some people may just look at it as a play, but also it has all the HBCUs there. So a lot of the young people, they had the bands, and a lot of the young people would sit and say, oh, so if I do this and go to college and they have a band, I can get a scholarship to go for that. It just opens up the door. You're taking them, they think they're just going to see a play that is live and energetic, but at the same time, there's a whole academic component. There's a whole way when they start asking questions about college or whatever they may be going through at home. They can say, man, I can go away to school and I can get away from the stuff I'm going through at home by just going to school, and I can go join this band. The young ladies, like, I can go dance. These are the things that I like to do, and I can get my education, and I can be away from some of the madness I'm going through. So these are some of the things that we know and that we kind of coach our young people through. And I think for all of us here at Isles, our job is we just feel so good when they do something and they're proud of, when they pass a test, when they go away on a trip, when we take them out to dinner, and the smiles and the looks on their faces when they come back. It's like, you'll see a 19-year-old who never experienced that before, and it feels good to give them that pleasure.
Thank
Would
you.
you be saying, Stacey? Let's go be stars.
Let's go be stars before we go anywhere.
Let's go be stars.
So I see we have Mona Yancey with us.
Hi, Cherry. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm actually was trying to just, listen and realize I think I hit the wrong button, but here I am.
Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Mona Yancey, and I am the Community Giving Manager at Passage Theater. So I have a great relationship with Passage, and, started off as an actor with them doing the play Caged in 2018, and then had the opportunity to be a teaching artist, and now here I am, just going out into the community, introducing myself, and really sharing what Passage is about, and the stories that we tell. I'm very excited about Clean Slate as well, and tonight just hearing everyone on the panel and the work that you all do, and why it's so important and how it relates to our play as well. So thank you all.
Wonderful.
And now I'm going to go, and I'm just going to listen.
Thank you so much. All right, so I am going to take advantage of all of you resident experts here, because I'm a mom and I have teenagers, and I can say on behalf of many, many people, we are confused by teenage communication. And so in all of your work with connecting with youth, and lots of you have used words like offering them opportunity, education, grace, love, second chances. All those things are wrapped up in the message of this production. I am curious, what advice do you all have around being able to understand teenage communication from what might show up in their behavior, and in their language, when things things should be going good, or you're offering the second chance, you're offering all you have to give to connect. What is it that we should know? What's the tip or the trick to understanding youth communication?
So I'll jump in. So I think that it's getting down to their level, right? You have to be calm when you speak to them. So I deal with 20+ students every day, age 16 through 24, right? So, of course, they want to do what they want to do a lot of times. But it's so, for example, the other day I sat down and spoke to them, right? And I'm like, this is not a lecture. This is just a conversation, right? I want you guys to understand what it is that you're doing wrong. And I want to talk to you about how we can rectify the situation. But at the same time, I want you guys to still have a voice to me and tell me what it is that we might be doing wrong. So it's like a give and take situation, right? You can't just always lecture them, lecture them, lecture them. Sometimes you have to sit back and listen to what it is that they have to say as well. So they feel like that their voice is being heard at the same time.
Thank you.
I'll add a couple things because I compare everything to a relationship. So even with children, and knowing someone, a romantic partner's love language, you understand what motivates them or what excites them. So just because you give someone flowers every day, you're like, wow, I'm giving this person flowers every day. Why isn't she responding the way I want her to respond? It requires that you understand what their love language is. Like taking them to, get fast food may not be the thing. It may be, they may want to sit at home and read, or saying, hey, let's go to a sporting event may not be the thing. They may want to go to the museum, or just a multitude of things. I like what Shantira said about give and take. Hey, if you do this thing for me because I think it's really, really beneficial in this way, then the next time we can do the thing that you want to do. So I think we oftentimes, in ways that we engage with people in period, we think we're doing the thing that they will like because it's the thing that maybe either we like, or we make assumptions, or society has told us it's the right thing. And they may just want to do something different and don't feel like they have the safe space to have a conversation about it. They either think that they're going to be told no, they either think that they may not hurt your feelings, but if I say this, they'll be mad, and things like that. So we have to empower them to share what they want, and then we can come to some happy medium, if you will. If what they want is, we can't let them have ice cream every day, but we can talk about what having ice cream can look like.
Thank you. The national conversation around youth and what it is that they are learning and what we should be teaching them that will to shape our future has become very stressed, and there's a lot of shaping or reshaping of what it is that we as various communities in different places should be teaching our youth, so we can have them be able to guide our future. I am curious if, from you all's vantage points and from the work that you are doing with youth, what in that conversation what do you think about that conversation, and what in that conversation are we getting right, and what is it that we are really missing the target on that's going to affect our future being able to live together?
So I can take that one. So Kidsbridge doesn't do teenagers. We start in preschool and we go to middle school, and we follow the research. And the research is really sad that children are lacking, there's an empathy deficit. Children are lacking empathy for themselves. So I commend and admire all of you people trying to help these kids that have been broken from a very young age. So I think what I've learned, and where job one starting, and if you have to start as a teenager, you need to do that, is self-empathy and self-compassion. And so there are a lot of books and activities, and Kidsbridge does this, that if a child doesn't value themselves, they're broken, you have a lot of work to do. So that's where I would start. And the other most important thing is, if you possibly can, to start younger. Bias and bullying start at 3 years old. And so it's so tragic. We have to wait till high school to help these kids and fix these kids. And that's what we have. But if for everybody listening, that sense of respect for oneself is something that we have to engender. If you get them in high school or you get them in preschool, this is something that's missing which is really important to cultivate. And it's, simple little things. Again, they may not have an adult in their life that they trust and can admire, but one adult, all of you guys, like one adult can really make a difference in a child's life.
Thank you. Kenny, I saw you nodding your head.
Yeah, I love what Lynn said about self-empathy and really allowing space for our youth to dive deep into who they are. A big part of what the block does when we work with youth is we allow them to explore themselves, who they are and their identities. We start with youth that may come in without the sort of confidence to assert who they are or understand how they want to be approached or things that may trigger them, right? And so we allow a safe space, we build up a safe space, which I heard earlier, right? For the youth to be able to speak to what they're feeling or what's going on, right? I really love the idea of coming down to their level. Yes, meeting the youth where they are. And so today you're feeling this, you're not speaking, you don't want to interact. Why? Instead of, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Now you're in trouble because you're not cooperating, right? We don't know what happened on their journey into the space. And so we really want to get down to the bottom. Also teaching them the language, right? To use when they're feeling these ways, right? They're coming in and they might feel anger, but it might be hurt. They might look angry. It might just be hurt. And so finding the ways in which to understand their temperaments, right? And getting down to the bottom of identity ultimately and extending grace to themselves.
I would just want to piggyback off of what Kenny just shared. We're talking about communicating with young people, and what I've learned over the years is we got to do a lot more listening than actually talking. When I was younger, I had a lot to say, a lot to share with young people. And I can see in my older years of how much I didn't hear because I had so much to say. And when communicating with young people, we don't want to react to what they're saying, right? Because their language is different. Some of their words might appear toxic or violent or just outrageous to us, but they just have a different language, right? A different nomenclature. So you have to listen to what they're saying and try to get to the feelings behind what you're hearing. A lot of times we stop with the literal and we talk about respect and we talk about what was right and what wasn't right. And we draw these lines in the sand of our willingness to communicate with young people. And that's just not going to work because there's no reason for a young person to cross that line to your side. There's nothing over there for them in their perception. So we got to stop and listen and get on their side of that line and experience that and try to understand that and create an environment where they might be curious about what's on your side of that line. And you also said another line that we at Anchor House really deal a lot in is that we have to meet our young people where they are. And there's an art to that, right? There's a science of practice and an art to that. And we could do a lot of talking about that, but we do that well, and we get a chance to do that, then we start to extend that to now let's meet them where they dream. Right? They know where they are, they don't want to be there, right? So we can't stop at meeting them where they are. Most of them have given up on where they dream because they're experiencing a nightmare, right? In my work. So you have to get that person regulated, that young person regulated in a safe space with these environments that we're talking about to get them to trust in dreaming again, right? Many things that they dreamt about, not only did they not get it, but they're getting the opposite. So you got to really encourage that and put them in an environment where there's trust and safety for them to dream again without just that futile mentality that there's no point in dreaming about anything.
I love that. Meet them where they dream. That's powerful. Can imagine if each of us had an opportunity to have that happen to us with some regularity. What a different. So Ben, go ahead.
I think what's important is making a connection with with the child, or children. That's very important, is the connection. A lot of people just hop right in and just, you know, go for the gusto, but they haven't even connected with the kid yet. So it's like, how do you do that? You know, make the connection first. Let's have a couple laughs. Let's talk about something, you know, in my past, something in your past, something that brings us, you know, to the same page, where it's like, okay, I'm kind of feeling this guy. Okay, yeah, he's all right. He's all right with me. And then from there, you can, you know, do what you do. But I think a connection is very important. I also think just realizing like the reality of how real some of these kids' situations are, like the home front. You know, us, you know, you see them when they come to school, or you see them, but you don't know how real it is at home. You know what I mean? And they might be getting some substance from you, but when they go home, it's right back to the same. You know what I mean? So it's like substance, then craziness, then substance. So it's like, where do you find a balance? Where do you get what I'm saying? So, and a lot of our kids are going through that. It's like, yeah, I hear you saying that, but this is my reality here. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm only getting this substance and this love when I come here. When I go home and wherever else I'm at, it's not the same thing. So it's like, how do you? That's a disconnect, right? It's how do we do that? How do we help not only you, but then your mother, or maybe your father, or your grandmother, or your aunt, or whoever may be raising you, because it just trickles down. It's just a cycle. So you can, you know, we can pour all we want into the kid. You get what I'm saying? But it's like, is that enough? How's the home situation? You get what I'm saying? So it's, you know, we could do what we could do, but yeah, I mean, it's deep. That's kind of my passion, is just is wanting to see the environment change entirely, the mindset. When you come outside, if you see abandoned house, drug dealer, or whoever, if you see the same stuff every day, it's not you get what I'm saying? It's just, yeah, and it's got to be a change, you know, in our communities, like, and what our kids see every day. That's one, because that triggers your brain and your mindset and how you think. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a lot, you know.
Well, that's why I want to just jump in with Anthony. That's why when you look at Isles and where we're at, it's very important that they see positive role models. We have a lot of young Black males and a lot of young Black young ladies, Latinos. And when we come through the door, and Anthony know, as a mentor to him, when they come in, I just say, man, we have to be on our A game. You know, when you're dealing with 16 to 24-year-olds, you don't have no time to try to be like them, or you know, just try to act like some of the things they do. It's okay, because it's not okay, right? Now you have to find a way to develop and do it, but sometimes I will have meetings with them, because I say, listen, I don't want any of this to be any of y'all last day here, because something good can turn into something very bad in an instant. And when, you know, when it's time to check out to see what happened and what took place, you don't know what can go down. So your job is to make sure that we're well trained, we're operating with fair. That's the first thing. You want to be fair with young people. You know, and I'm talking about, when we're talking about the youth and those that are going out there, you have to have a certain type of, like, we're not afraid of you, right? But it's love, but we are here because, you know, some people may be getting bullied and you will never know the signs, you know, like she was saying, you don't really know what's going on. And so when everyone's kind of laughing and playing together, I learned this by doing workshops at the Youth Detention Center. They say what the bully will do is, he will bully the guy, right, Ben? And say, Ben, you're in your office at the Anchor House, right? Or you're there. Then he'll say, you know, because Mr. Thornton, my boy, watch. And then he'll go into your office and start laughing and playing with you, but you don't even know what he's done to that young kid and what he's showing off about, right? And so the kids see him tossing it up with you laughing, but you don't really know what it is. You're just trying to show him love. And I know it's getting a little deep, but when you are, remember, I got like 14, 15 years of working with these young people unscathed, without getting in any stuff. And these are some of the things that I had to do, and these are some of the things that I had to put in practice that I have to mentor other people about. I'm saying when you're in a school like this, you really don't know what's going on. So continue to be fair. And one of the things that we do is we give them opportunities. The opportunities, the service learning projects, the volunteer projects, the love, the feeding them. When you're doing those things, they know that you're on their side. And they know that you have love for them and you'll do whatever it takes. And when you're telling them some things, they know what's right. So when you're moving like that, when they're wrong, because somebody has to tell them when they're wrong, y'all. Someone has to tell them, because this is why they get jammed up and then they're in a situation that they can't get out of. So when you have someone like myself and Anthony who are from Trenton, and even Sherry, I know with Tracy, he go through this. People come to me thinking these kids, I can get them out of stuff and I can't. So I have to tell them, don't get jammed up because I don't have as much clout as you think I have, right? And so that's what they have to understand. Think before you do anything. That's why we do these workshops on decision making, because jumping in a car with someone, right, that don't have license, that's smoking weed or that's been drinking, that get in an accident, or hit somebody, you're part of it. So all of these things, y'all, when we're dealing with them, we're giving them stuff in love. So you just don't get jammed up. Because I'll tell them, there's some things I can't get you out of. So I'm going to get myself out of it now. So you don't think that I can just, I might can't get you out of this. So I need you to stay the course.
You know, as I'm listening to you all, I'm hearing these this kind of message or thought of things that where you all are intervening, is where this kind of compounding trauma, the effects of compounding trauma on these youth's lives. And I'm wondering, do you all believe that it's possible to give a youth armor to help protect themselves against the effects of that compounding trauma? And if there are, what?
No, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's my, if there is armor that we can give them, what is it?
That's deep. I'll start with saying this, because when you said that, not to get too spiritual or religious, but that just made me think of putting the whole armor on of the Lord. You know what I mean? You gotta, when you come out here, it's a spiritual warfare. Like, so that's somewhere else. You know what I mean? But what I can say, what I like to do, what I like to give the kids is I tell them, like, even like this. So this is a perfect example, right? Us being on this panel tonight, we're having this discussion. I honestly, and I was like, gosh, I don't really want to do it, but I'm like, I'm going to do it because I wanted the experience. I don't know what I can learn tonight. I don't know who I will meet tonight. And what else am I doing? I wasn't going to be doing nothing else, but probably sitting at home watching TV or something. So it's like, I try to teach that same thing to them. Like when it's like, oh, I don't really feel like doing it. Like if it's like, all right, we're about to go to whatever it may be. We can be like, we're going to go to, Mrs. Stacy might have something planned for them about etiquette or something like that, where we're teaching them about different etiquette. And they're like, I don't want to go to that, like, because it's not something fun. It's not the movies, the skate. You get what I'm saying? But what I like to tell them is like, look, take this as an experience. You never know what you will learn. You never know who you will meet and where that can take you. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, these are things that open your mind up to different things. Like I always tell them, like, don't. So that's kind of like my armor for them. It's like experience something different, like, because you never know where it can take you. So just go in, breathe, take it all in, and then see what you learn from that. And that's how I look at it. It's experience. So don't knock it until you try it. Almost like, get that experience, do something different, because you're doing the same thing every day. Like, let's do something different,
Thank you.
If I could just jump in and piggyback off of Anthony. You said it in the last time you're talking about that connection. Connection is more about presence than it is about information, right? It's more about
Yep.
doing it together, whatever it is, but not necessarily the it, especially for young men, right? And so those connections and everything that we provide with healthy adults is part of that armor, right? Skills are armor. When you have a talent and you have a skill, is armor against some of the stuff that you could preoccupy yourself with if you don't know what your skills and your talents are, right? Competencies. There's no better armor than being good at something, right? You can get yourself in trouble, but at least you got that skill and a seed of something to go on. Resilience, we all talk about that. Coping mechanisms. These days, that's armor, right? I'm so mad I want to go do this, but if you got about 5 different techniques and coping mechanisms to keep you from going down that street or hopping in that car stays, that's armor. Protective factors. We talk about healthcare. That's going to be armor. If you're talking to a doctor, if you get a regular checkup, if you're plugged into your own body, that's your first degree of agency, right? So if you're attuned to that, then you might not do things that abuse it so bad, right? Some of us. Education is armor. If you're sitting in the classroom and you understand what's going on and being in that space, building your own mind, that's going to be armor against those things that would use that mind to facilitate something destructive in our community, right? Discipline. Before I start talking to people about trauma and all of those sorts of things, there's nothing, Stace, you said it, right? You got to tell them when they're wrong. You can't make excuses for them. You can't water down things that's just not right. You got to let them be accountable. Sacrifice. Our young people don't sacrifice, outside of how they feel in the moment, and they need practice like that. Like you said, those opportunities to practice. I'm in a quiet place, I'm at a play, I feel like wilding out, I'm a little, but you learn I learned how to do that in the church pew, right? Delayed gratification. I can't have it now. Let me see what we got to set up. I think somebody mentioned earlier, we might not be able to do that, but we can talk about when we can do that. Or when we can have that thing. And then manners, that goes a long way. It's so easy. But even practicing having different manners. I know the manners you use on the block might not be the manners we're teaching at Isles or Anchor House, right? But you can switch them up. But to have the options and have choices, that is armor. So some of these regular general things that we all kind of call common sense, it's not so common anymore. These are the things that are what we call in our bubble of serving homeless youth, protective factors. We know all the risk factors. We got them down. We know what we're scared of. But those protective factors are easy things we could do to balance out some of that stuff we can't change. And no, we can't protect them against everything, but some armor will allow them to protect themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry if I could just add one small tidbit. Just to head back to the education point, I want to talk about just educating our youth on the systems that we always talk about, right? We always talk about systems placed against us, but sometimes we need to break that down with them. And so the connection, right? I want to make a connection with you. So I want to sit down and we're going to study together and we're going to understand where these traumas are coming from and what systems are in place and what that means to get us into some of these situations, right? A lot of what our youth go through or what we all go through being from Trenton has to do with a system, right? And what does that system mean? Our traumas weren't just put there, and a lot of it is about survival. We do a lot of the things that we do for survival, and so understanding what that means and how to navigate that, and that may put a light bulb up in their head and help them make the right decisions when they're put into situations that may get them into something that they can't get out of.
So I'd like to build on what everybody's saying, and that's the aspiration of hope. That at any age, if we can give a child hope that they can graduate high school, that their life will be different, that they can escape a very dysfunctional home, that they are able to make choices, pro-social choices. So this is something we do at Kids Bridge that they can hope that their lives will be different, and that can, you know, drive them on and motivate them. So maybe some other people want to talk about engendering hope in their kids.
And I have to hop off, unfortunately, but just to piggyback off what you just said, and that's what my book is about. That's what Tracy's book is about. Like, one decision can impact you, but it doesn't have to be your story. You can change that. You can do something different. You can go from the block to the boardroom. You can have a whole second act. We want to hope that people don't have situations where they need to, you know, come back from. But if you do, it doesn't define you, and you don't have to stay in that. And I didn't have experiences like my husband had, but we all have something. Some moment we were fearful, some moment we were embarrassed, some moment we made the wrong choice, some moment we did the wrong thing. And, you know, having these people, having safe spaces, having the support is amazing. So there's even hope in that. So I just wanted to, you know, close with that, and just thank everyone for allowing me on the platform. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the play for sure. So go and get your tickets for you panelists, I mean, for you who have joined us this evening.
Thank you so much for being here.
Tell Trace I said, what's up?
Yeah.
Good God.
Well,
You know,
thank you so much. I have a bunch more questions, but I have monopolized the conversation thus far, and I know we've got you know, a bunch of people out in the audience. So I want to just open it up to see if anybody in the audience has any questions for our panelist, or I continue on with mine. If you do, please look in the bottom tray of your Zoom screen. There should be a button that says Q&A. It looks like two interlocking conversation bubbles. You just go ahead and press that. You can type your question in, and I'll be able to see it, and we will ask it of our panelists. But while we're waiting for that, I will throw out one more question to you all. And so I'm curious, when you think about the discussions and conversations and what you're seeing and what you're working through in each of your respective locations, what's the trends or the cycles of stuff that you're seeing that we don't really know about, that's caught your attention, that you're not seeing show up in our kind of public conversations right now around youth? It's the insights.
Interesting. I'm trying to think before I answer.
Let's see. You know, I will say this. Just when you know, again, over at IELTS and dealing with young people from 16 to 24, like what you heard me talk about earlier, there's so many different dynamics and different things that go on that you have to just understand, because you definitely want to give them experiences. And like Ms. Lynn said, give them hope. Hope is everything. And this is how we come up with ideas. This is how I come up with creativity and doing things that's normally not done. I call myself a service learning guru, because the volunteer projects we do, people aren't doing that, but there's a certain type of passion you have to do. Like for example, when the Trenton Thunders, we started like about 7 years ago, they wanted to go and do some community outreach work in the community. So I will partner with them to remodel Little League baseball fields. But in doing that, I told them, our young people have to be at the table. We made plans, we made designs. So remember, we're IELTS Youth Institute, so we have a construction site. I have a construction manager. I got the construction manager involved. We made some plans, and then I said our first meeting is going to be at the Trent Thunder conference room stadium. And so for some of the kids who always roll by that, the Trenton Thunder field, like that stuff, it may not be much to us, but it means a lot to them. And I remember parking the van and saying, all right, come on in here, y'all. We got the meeting in there. And they was like, wow, we going inside? And I said, yep. And so by doing this, they were able to see how they were able to fix a baseball field for their little brothers and sisters in their neighborhood, do something. It's a service learning project. So guess what? If they had to do community service or see their PO, it's not that every day I'm just going to go down to the soup kitchen and go in the back and put some things together. You're going to show them a whole project of how you had to sit with the city, how we had to work out a budget, how the mayor is involved, how you're meeting the general manager for the Trenton Thunder. And then we told the Trenton Thunder, after we went out that day and remodeled the baseball fields and did everything, say, now you have to do something for the kids. So they gave them an award that night. It was, I forgot what it was called, but they were able to bring their families, and they was on a Jumbotron, and then we got to go out on the field. But you see, it started in April as a service learning project for a couple days, but then it lasted up into May, where the company, their families, and everyone came out to acknowledge them on that day for the things that they've done. And I'm just bringing that up because, like you say, now you're offering hope. So when that happens and they experience that, now when you need them to do something else, because now you're just getting that trust. And when you begin to do that, now we got to go do something. We're going to go do something else, and they're going to buy in. And you don't have to make it so elaborate and make it to do all that, because they trust in you at this moment, and they do see that I can do something positive and get some attention. I can do something positive, and my mother and father or my guardian get to come out. And really, I've been talking about it, but they really get to see and benefit from the positive things that we've done.
Excellent. We do have a couple of questions that have popped up from our audience. First one is, how do we stop gun violence and help our at-risk youth? Super easy question.
Yeah. I don't know if we can ever stop gun violence per se, but as far as helping the at-risk youth, I think that we just need better programming for the kids, as well as just like a whole total redesign of the city, man. Just get the kids some programs, and then give them things to do like outside. Like, we don't even, this is the capital of New Jersey and we don't have anything. Let's start by restructuring the city, like redesigning it, like creating jobs for youth. So like put a movie theater downtown so then some kids can get a job, put a mall, do some, like, let's give people in our community things so we feel normal. We want to feel normal like other people in other places. We don't want to have to go to New York all the time or Philly just to go and feel like, oh, we can go out. Like, give us a little strip, give us a arts district. Like, let's do some things here. We got a lot of talent and a lot of potential here in Trenton. So that's what I say, start by the programming and giving the kids something to do. It's always going to be gun violence though, because it's guns. As long as guns exist, it's always going to be violence behind that. Stop that.
So I would like to jump in and agree with what Anthony said. The kids need jobs, they need things to do, they need more community centers. But since I work with younger kids don't think they have the ability to say no at very young ages, to say no to guns or drugs, or say no to a bully, or say no to children who are excluded, to say yes and to help them. So I think we need to invest a lot more money for all of our kids in Trenton, but even younger, to practice saying no and to make these positive decisions, like, invited into a car, somebody said, or taking a gun or running drugs. I mean, young kids are running the drugs, right? So like, no, and doing that in a safe way. So that's what I would say. Practice younger, helping our kids have the agency to do what is right and making those positive decisions, but they don't know how to do it. And so if you tell them like this, they're still not listening. So for me, capital P, practice. They have to practice saying no, practice when to say yes, and making those positive decisions for themselves.
Thank you.
And then too, I'm sorry not to cut you off, Lynn, but even then too, to put them, you just made me think, like, even having them in different like acting it out. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Practice.
the practice part, acting it out. Like, so
Right.
because it's easier for us to tell them to say no, but
Doesn't
when
work.
the person in front of them is somebody that might smack the mess out of them if they say no, or if it's somebody
Right.
that, you know, so how do you say no then when you're scared? Or how do you say no when it's somebody that has a little stain on the block or something? Like, how do you say no then? You get what I'm saying? So yeah,
Right.
putting the, you know, those different situations out there and
Right.
acting out. And so
So
they,
just what you said, that they don't know what to do because they haven't practiced it. So there are different strategies. There's different strategies for kids, and the other strategies don't do it alone. You know, a friend can help you, right? So we need to do a better job with strategies and practice. So these kids can walk away from guns. More kids can walk away from guns if we do it better.
Wonderful.
I was just gonna.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna add to that. Incidentally, all of the answers are correct, right? Like sometimes we get in community debates about either or this or that. Like it's and then including, right? All of those answers are a part of that jigsaw puzzle to solve it. But maybe one thing that on a macro scale, we really do have to change what we value, even as adults, right? Why are we running drugs? Why are we doing that? Most of that is to get money, to get things, to those things make you feel better and all those things. We probably really need to get into changing our paradigms. And that would start with our communities and our country for that matter, really changing up what we value and who we value, right? Who are our heroes in our communities and in our a country. Most of the time, we're not pointing to teachers, we're not pointing to scientists, we're not pointing to moms, we're not pointing to everything that generates this healthy community and society that we're talking about. We're pointing to entertainment and entertainers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's out of balance, it's completely out of whack. And when we refer to spiritual things and those higher ideals and stuff, those things are not, those paradigms are not a part of that, right? So we're talking about healing with young people and trauma. You can't do those things in conflict paradigms and paradigms that you're seeking things outside of yourself to satisfy yourself or to bring value to yourself. So some of that stuff, and it may be religion, it may be philosophy, it may be some other things, but we need some meat and potatoes in there in terms of why we're doing anything that we're doing, because you can stop and start anything. It's really what compels you to do it. That's the problem. And our people and our communities are compelled to do some things that we really have to deal with what's underneath that.
So I know, Shantea, you wanted to jump back to the cycle question.
Yes, I'm sorry. I couldn't get my computer off of mute quick enough when we were talking about it. Things that I see that seem to be an issue repetitively is, so we have students that come from traditional schools, right? And they tell us all the time, it wasn't my fault, it was the teacher's fault. That's why I wasn't able to learn, right? So they're not able to take accountability for certain things that they might have done in traditional school. So we try to set smaller classrooms in the building. So it's like, okay, the staff is more focused on each student individually. And a lot of times is that when the students are being expelled or if they're incarcerated or anything, it's usually not, the students will tell you, it wasn't me, it was who I was hanging around. So we try to get them to understand that you have to change the people that you hang around in order to be a better you. If you want to be a better you, but you're still hanging out with your friends on the block, you're going to defeat the purpose. You're not going to be able to distinguish the difference between, I want to build myself to be better and I want to hang out with my boy on the block. So we have something that we do with the students when they come in called mental toughness, which we're actually in right now. So this is when the students, they come together for a week long and they do academics, they do team buildings, they do icebreakers, and we teach them about, every day we have a different theme and we help to teach them to understand these things, right? So we talk to them about refocusing. We tell them about how you have to refocus and reset yourself and just focus on yourself. And it's like you're blindsided, right? You can't look to the left or the right, you have to look straight ahead. We talk about community, we talk about expectations that they have. So it's a number of things that we try to help them to understand how to break the cycles before they even come in the building, to see if they're ready for this, right? Because if you're not ready for change, then how can we help you? We need to make sure you're ready for change.
Right. Thank you. We've got 3 more questions from our audience members. So from Molly Dykstra, she's hello and thank you. She's wondering if you could wave a magic wand and one thing would happen that would positively affect the youth with whom you work, what would it be?
Can you repeat that question one more time? I'm sorry.
If you could wave a magic wand and one thing would happen that would positively affect the youth with whom you work, what would it be?
Magic wand. And just poof.
Those are always kind of tricky, you know. Somebody asks you that, you'll get that like in a job interview or something. You can wave a wand, and then you know you be thinking, because we know it's layers to this, you know what I mean. So when you begin to say, it depends on the individual. One can say, you know, maybe education. You know, one of the things I do see, if a kid has trouble reading, don't understand the math, and they a lot of times, especially in the school setting, will be a problem, you know what I mean, because of just, you know, you'd be surprised, man. Sometimes some of them look at themselves at 17 and be like, damn, I can't read, you know, because they'll hear someone else reading fluently. Like, you thinking they really don't care, but you can look at the face of another child and they just be like, and some of them might can put on themselves from cutting school all the time, and, you know, just drugs and alcohol from 5th and 6th grade. Some won't admit it. They'll say the teachers, like Shantia always says, the teachers don't care. But I you know, maybe education, and hopefully from that, you know, they'll be able to just transition, go to school, do what they have to do, maybe go off to college, maybe go get a job or take a trade or go to the military, you know. This is what I'm thinking.
I will wave my magic wand and say, now you know you have everybody will have an understanding of self, of who they are, where they come from, and where they are going. Poof. Then you I'll do that. That's my magic, John.
All right.
I would second that one with Anthony. I would wave the magic wand for knowledge of self. I would wave the magic wand for knowledge of self.
I'm on the third with that. I agree.
Yeah.
Any wanding, Lynn or Shantea?
I agree with Anthony. I agree with that.
Anthony, you've got the key, you've got the magic and the wand.
Harry Potter.
So, Sherelle Snyder, do our youth seem to have a lot of behavior and learning problems, and where do you all believe it stems from? Do you believe the environment might have something to do with it?
I think the environment has everything to do with it, right? You know, how you come up, how you're raised, where you're raised, education of your parents. I mean, all that takes a part, and, you know, and them learning. So definitely has something to do with your environment for sure. It's a major part.
I would add to that, it has to do with your values. Again, we could be good students, we could do well in education, but it's how we value it. And so doing good in school was something that and when I was young, speaking for myself, we sort of thought, oh, we got to do that because our parents expect us to, or whatever. But it wasn't really woven in with, this is how I develop myself. This is how I grow my brain. This is how I, you know, secure my future, right? When I was 17 and if I had $2,500, you asked me what I was going to do with it, buy a car or take a college class, I'm gonna buy a car, right, with some rims or something, right? It's the value. that is very different. So even if you have education, you might just be looking for a job and to fit into some sort of a system. But I'm sorry, if you have a training and you know, a certificate or whatever, but the real education coupled with the knowledge of yourself is a different thing. It's a different thing. And I think that that would add value to the education that our young people receive. Our education, I grew up in Trent, I was product of Trent schools. Our education doesn't really connect with us, doesn't really connect with what I'm experiencing every day. It's almost like a different bubble.
So I believe that it does stem from the environment, right? But it also stems from their household, right? So a lot of them came from broken homes. A lot of them came from chaos inside the house. So if they don't know any better from home, how are they expected to do better? So now it's up to us as professionals to try to help them grow and expand themselves and learn different things and how certain situations they might come across, how to handle it the appropriate way.
When you look at it, even from Isles' perspective, like they do the lead testing and lead training and stuff like that. When you start to talk about lead in the houses and what it does to the brain, when you start talking about drugs and alcohol, people now are using mental health sometimes for stuff that people are just doing to themselves, and we can equate it to that, you know what I'm saying? But it definitely is getting used in different ways and different things, because I know when I watch young people and I listen to them talk, one of the things that Anthony and I have, and even Shantia more, because a lot of the kids trust in her, but when you're driving the van, you hear all kind of conversations. So we do drop-offs. I tell people that all the time. That's what sometimes used to put me ahead of people, even if they went to school. It doesn't matter. I'm with them. So your theories, you can say whatever you want to say. When my reality is I'm driving in this van, I'm dropping them off home, and I'm listening to their conversations and what they're talking about. So then I have to make my adjustments. Then I will come back to the building. I will send an email to the staff. This is what's going on. This is what you need to watch out for, because this is the reality. And sometimes you'll get somebody that's like, well, no, they're just a good. And I'm like, did you just hear what I said? I was just in the van and I was just listening to the conversations and what's going on. So that van was, and Anthony, that's therapeutic. And you have to understand, with the program Anthony and myself had, we were able to feed the kids decent meals, like local restaurants with good food that they don't really get a chance to get. So they looked at us differently. We were more like a father, big brother figure. Like when we have enough food, we'll say, just take some home to your little brother and sister. We teach them those, like you say, Ben, value systems. Like they be like, well, I'm kind of full. I don't really want nothing. No, but somebody at the house might want something. It's not just about you. And so in that, now you start to develop these relationships. And so now they'll start coming clean about certain things. And a lot of them, drugs and alcohol. And they think marijuana is just okay because, they get it wrong with, it's legal and stuff like that, but it's doing something to them. And so can you imagine a child that's from, 6th grade on or 7th grade that's just been smoking and doing all of those things and drugs for 10 years or for 8 years, and how that affects them. And so, these are some of the things. And so you have to pay attention to what is going on, and you have to understand their behaviors and where they're at, and then sit them down. And one of the things we talked about earlier is this, y'all, that can save them, is communication. You have to know how to sit and communicate and talk to young people so they can understand, right? So I understand you going through it. When they explain stuff about their house, I say, I get it. That's the first thing I let them know. I understand. I get it. But remember, they're in the office because they're going in a whole nother direction that's either going to get them kicked out of school, or they're going to go to jail, or they got court, or I've been talking to their probation officer. So when they come with that, I'm just going to first let you know, I agree, I understand, I get it. From the hood, this is stuff, no heat at the house, whatever. But listen, this is what's about to happen. You get what I'm saying? Because there's certain things that's just going to happen. Now, do you want this to happen? Or do you want to go through some things and let's try to fix this? Because this is not going, you can't, because you don't have something, go steal or rob or do something to someone about it. That doesn't matter because there's no food at the house. So what do you want to do?
Thank you. I'm going to let Melanie, we've got one last question, and this is a real quick answer, and then we're going to wrap up. A question from Melanie. Do any of you partner with municipalities and share models to empower youth? And how do you go about partnering with cities and agencies? Any of you guys do that?
Well, I'll jump right in and say, you know, for us to do the work that we do with young people, it relies on partnerships with what we call our sister agencies that serve young people in homelessness. We can't do it alone. Anchor House doesn't have enough beds and spaces and programs. So we work with Life Ties, Homefront, and all of the other programs that our youth are involved in order to close those gaps. But there are system gaps. And the only thing that closes those system gaps are partnerships, nonprofits, faith-based organizations. These are the sort of cement that fills all of those gaps that the social safety net will not fill. And I don't know if it's right to expect it to fill that. We're all the people doing the work anyway. So partnerships are the best renewable resource for anybody trying to get any work done.
Thank you. So I want to thank each and every one of you for taking out your time this evening to come and share what is in your head and on your hearts and all of your insight and expertise and reflections from your perspective and all the work that you all are doing. I want to thank you all for investing yourselves in each of the youths that you connect with, because frankly, they're going to be taking care of all of us. And we're glad that you are shoring them up and helping them to be strong to take on that responsibility later. So I want to just invite everyone that is here, if you do not already have your tickets to Clean Slate, which will be at Passage Theater from March 10th to the 12th. Please go and get those. You can go to passagetheatre.org, and that's theater spelled THEATRE, to /Clean Slate to get your tickets. It's running for 1 week only. Also, Passage Theater is going to be having their annual celebration on March 24th. And that also information about that and access to that, you can find out more on Passage Theater's website, the / lights on the horizon, all one word. And if you are not able to join us for the March events, you can learn more at passagetheatre.org of the other things that Passage Theater is doing, and also have your opportunity to become Hero of the House Lights, where you can do something as small as $10 a month of financial support to make sure that these conversations keep coming. The work that is helping bring us together as a city and reflective of our city's history and the strengths and things that are all out there, and help theater to be made to help us all be connected and to communicate out what needs to be communicated out, especially around social justice. Your financial support would be huge towards that. And you can find out more information about how you can connect that way with passagetheatre.org and get yourself a coffee mug and way to be able to be refreshed while you are visiting